Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road Jedi 88. We're getting into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, mods, Range Trooper. What is a Range Trooper? As I have pointed out in a previous video, when it came to, I think it was the First Order Stormtroopers, and as I'm getting closer to the S's, I'm going to run into more of these troopers. Unfortunately, this game literally did not offer Sand Troopers. I don't know why, because we see them in Star Wars A New Hope on Tatooine. Those were Sand Troopers that we saw, mixed in with the Stormtroopers. The Stormtroopers are generic, but the different types of gears that we see these various Stormtroopers come in are based on environmental terrain purposes. So, with that said, what are these troopers? What is a range trooper? In an old 1990s book that I have, a couple actually that I have on hand, is the Star Wars Trilogy scrapbook, The Galactic Empire, where it has a couple pages that explains about the Stormtroopers and how their armaments can be adapted for various different types of terrains. As we have seen in various situations like Ice Planet Hoth, their gears can be adapted for that. We've seen Stormtroopers have their armaments geared up to be able to handle sandy terrains like Tatooine, and also rainforest terrains like the forest moon of Endor. Once again, also in my Star Wars Visual Dictionary book, there is pages that break down the various different types of components, that is geared within the trooper outfits, within their uniforms. The gear parts and all. Now, Stormtroopers are kind of generic. Snow Troopers we saw in The Emperor Strikes Back, as they were raiding the planet Hoth, the rebel base that was on the planet Hoth, in The Emperor Strikes Back. That would be, one second. That would be this guy right here. Now, we have seen in Return of the Jedi what's called a Scout Trooper for rainforest terrains, which would be this guy. And we have this guy, and we have both of these guys in the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes games. Somehow, and there's some TIE Fighter pilots right there. Various different types of pilots, probably for various different types of ships. But while they are pilots, they're also still kind of troopers in a sense, but they're more pilot directions. One character that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes does not have, and it's kind of annoyingly surprising that they don't, considering all the other troopers they do have, that is the Sand Trooper that we saw in A New Hope on the desert planet Tatooine. Their gear is designed for sandy terrains. So what is a range trooper? Now, there is actually no information out in my books describing what a range trooper, but if you're following the rule of thumb about the troopers throughout the Star Wars universe, and I'm basing this off of the mentality from the George Lucas era generation that goes as far back as the 1970s, all the way up to the 2010s. Understanding of troopers, that is all pre-Disney, which is a much longer time span than Disney has ever owned Star Wars. The understanding of troopers is armament, gear parts. And what is a range? Okay, so a range trooper, now if you kind of break down the terms, you break down the wording. A trooper is obviously going to be a soldier. A range, by definition, it limits the scales or distance between possible extremes. Mathematics is a measurement of something. In everyday usage, the span or variety of different things within specific categories. In a geographical situation, it's still going to tie back into that mathematics. It's going to explain the distance to travel. So now I do know that this word is nowhere mentioned in the name of this trooper, as well as anywhere in his abilities, but given the concept of what we're talking about, what a range trooper is going to be designed for, and I am speaking out of experience from having spent time in the Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, as well as a retired veteran. There was an objective little side quest activity that we trained in the Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps called orienteering. It is actually something that someone who's going to be doing long distance traveling with unknown situations and variables of what they're going to be up against is going to be facing. And orienteering, this is probably a large aspect of what a range trooper's job is probably going to be including, if anything. And this is something that they would train for, more than likely, given the title, the definition of their title position. An outdoor, now it can be viewed as an outdoor sport. We did do it as a kind of a sporting thing a little bit in the Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, but it was also a training purpose at the same time. That was its primary objective. It's a map out. It is a course with checkpoints where you have to navigate your way around on your own with no one else to guide you. You have to figure it out on your own. And if these guys are on a hunt for someone, they have to know how to do these things. So yes, there are various different types of orienteering. In a military concept, if these guys are on a trail hunting for someone, they have to know how to navigate, and they have to be prepared with all the parts that they're going to need in order to find whoever they are locating. So let's take another look at our range trooper and do the math and put it together. A range trooper is for long distance terrain situations. They're probably on a hunt for someone. They're probably chasing after someone. And of course, after these guys, the next resort probably would be a bounty hunter. If they are in a pursuit after someone. If it's not that, probably traveling, moving stuff around, having to cover long distance situations. If as I'm looking at this guy, I am seeing he has a jacket or a coat that is possibly removable. He has armament that, his helmet is not too far off from looking like that of a snow trooper, as well as a little ventilator that's similar to the scout troopers. So he's kind of like a cross blend. And if you look at the boots, they almost look like they're designed for hiking situations, almost. So he's probably probably covers various different types of environmental terrain situations, never knowing exactly what he's going to be up against in that long distance. That would be, based on what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, and if I'm understanding the definition of what it means to be a range trooper, you do the math, you put it together, and that is what this guy is probably his purpose is probably going to be for. So if you go to my first video in my character mods playlist, I break down by definition the various different types of character roles, like support, tank, attackers, and healers. I break down the various different types of mods, like offense and tenacity, critical chance, critical damages, potency, health, defense, the various different types of mods, and I explain what it is in purpose we are doing when we apply them to various different types of character roles. And of course, they do tie in with the Come on. Ah! It landed and it went too far. Alright. Let me try that again. So, the mods do tie in with what is happening with their abilities, what their abilities are. Now, he is a support character who apparently can deal out damage to damage to target enemies. Yep. So he can do damage. Critical damage is a possibility with this guy, it sounds like. You can go 3 turns gaining protection up. So that almost sounds like a tenacity possibility. And yeah, there is something here for tenacity. Straight up. So if you go to swgoh.gg, the online website, they do actually back up the same in-game tips as what is recommended here, offense and tenacity. Offense is meant to kind of push in an attack situation, kind of pushing. But critical damage could do just as well. And he does have abilities that is designed for damage. So offense or critical damage, either one are just as good, but since he also has the tenacity you need, especially if he is in a long distance situation, you kind of want him durable, don't you? Because if you go long distance, what happens to someone who isn't built for it? They're going to tire out, they're going to wear down, they're going to collapse. So, now obviously this is a fighting game, this is not a racing game, I get that. But if we were to humor the concept of who this character is, what he's designed for, he is intended for long distance situations. You want him to last a long time. Tenacity would provide that for him. So honestly, I'm in agreement with offense and tenacity. I also would maybe consider food for thought, take into consideration the idea of maybe critical damage with this tenacity. He is a support character. He's not a leader, but he is going to back up whoever the leader is. He's going to support the squad. He is going to push them and make sure they last a while. That is going to be probably the purpose of this trooper's job, to ensure the endurance of the endurance and the survival of the squad. That is more than likely. That is the sound of this guy's ability. It sounds like that's what he's designed for. So offense is not a bad choice, but it's neither would critical damage. But definitely include that tenacity for this guy. So that is Range Trooper, his mods, as well as, I'm tripping over my tongue. That is Range Trooper's mods for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below, and thank you for following. May the Force be with you.